to Spider-Man lore, and today we'll be talking about Symbiote Spider-Man. And part 2 is coming out soon for Spider-Man 616. So this is technically in 616, and it is. But today we're gonna be talking about Symbiote Spider-Man. Alright, let's begin. So during the Secret Wars, Spider-Man had his costume heavily damaged, and the other heroes pointed out to the room full of machinery to fix his costume. There was a symbiote there, and when he was there, Spider-Man released the symbiote and it covered his body, forming a new costume, completely black with a big white spider symbol on his chest, slightly larger eyepieces, white patches on the back of each hand. He wore this costume for the remainder of the Secret Wars. After the end of Secret Wars, Spider-Man returned to Earth and brought the symbiote with him. There he discovered the costume could mimic any clothing he wanted. For some time, Spider-Man used this costume to fight crime, and the symbiote began to care deeply for him, believing he was helping him. The symbiote sneaked back into Peter's body after he had taken it off and gone to sleep. Then it would carry the unconscious body of Peter through a typical session of fighting street crime silently. Thus, as long as he had the symbiote, he would be unexpectedly tired in the morning as his brain would rest, but his body would be getting no rest at night. After witnessing the suit spontaneously webbing Felicia, preventing her from leaving because she saw Mary Jane, Spider-Man decided to investigate on his new suit. Upon going to Reed Richards, Peter discovers that the black suit was actually alive and slowly trying to permanently bond with Peter. Basically, what bonding means is to stick forever with Peter, like Venom, because that was Eddie Brock and Venom. Well, that's symbiote. Alright. Peter then removes the creature using high-frequency sonic noise. Basically, what he did was go up to the bell, like somewhere in New York City, I'm pretty sure. And then he rung this big bell, and the symbiote just got off him. So, that thing was a church, by the way, and rings the bells until the symbiote detaches, basically what I said. But he passes out. The symbiote, in act of mercy, drags Spider-Man to safety in the Undercroft, but decides not to bond with him again, and saddened leaves. In pain for Peter's rejection, the symbiote finds Eddie Brock about to commit suicide, and sensing his own pain, it bonds with him and creates Venom. Unfortunately, bonding with Brock twists the creature, devolving it to a more violent and aggressive behavior, near instantly having a main objective to kill Peter Parker for wronging them both. Spider-Man goes to a psychologist who tells him that the alien suit is showing signs of love-hate, but the core emotion is still love. Later, Spider-Man is confronted by Venom. Seeing that he couldn't beat him, he removes his Spider-Man costume and offers himself to the symbiote, which surprisingly leaves Eddie Brock trying to bond again with Peter. However, as the symbiote attaches to Spider-Man, the pain of severing the bond with Brock shocks it, causing both Brock and Peter to pass out, and when the symbiote seems to have completed its bond with Peter, it faints and detaches from him. We're going to talk about Agent Venom next time. It's a bit more complicated. And that's basically the whole story with Venom and how they met. Since this is a 5-minute video, I guess we can go with the Agent Venom. Alright. Flash bonded to Venom when he took part of Project Rebirth 2.0. Flash was bonded with the symbiote, which was acquired by the US government after Mac Gargan's arrest after the siege of Asgard. While bonded, Flash was able to regrow his legs he lost in war and gained spider powers. He gained spider powers because, if you know this, you'll know, but when Venom or the symbiote bonds with someone, he gains abilities. So since he bonded with Peter, he got Peter's abilities like wall crawling, web shooting. So that's why Venom had the same abilities, and now Agent Venom has it. The symbiote has special nodes put into it to help Flash better control it, but even with this, Flash cannot be bonded to the symbiote for more than 48 hours, or else he could lose control, which he did twice after turning into a more savage and bigger Eddie Brock type Venom. And the superior symbiote costume is about Dr. Octavius as Spider-Man, briefly rebonding with the Venom symbiote by tricking Flash Thompson and separated Venom from him. By the way, this is Superior Spider-Man. And gave Flash a set of mechanical legs, imprisoning the symbiote. Flash tells Spider-Man that the symbiote is scared and that is a lot stronger than he remembers. Seconds later, the symbiote manages to break the containment tank and bonds with the superior Spider-Man. Doc Ock assumes full control of the suit, claiming that Flash Thompson is weak-minded and cannot do anything without the symbiote. And kind of that is true. Flash was a bully. Alright. And that with his own previous experience with his robotic arms along with his iron will that can control the symbiote, becoming Superior Venom. Cardiac attempts to intimidate Superior Venom to hand over the symbiote, but he replies by injuring him and telling him that true monster would have gutted him like a fish. Superior Venom then heads out to patrol the city, learning of the power of the symbiote. Later, Otto is called by Anna Maria and returns to her apartment, where he learns that Aunt May questioned her about Peter's activities. He then promises that he will fix everything. Heading to Aunt May's apartment, Mary Jane, angry about the way Peter's treating people, confronts him, but he suddenly receives a message about crime and changes to his symbiote suit and leaves for the city. Mary Jane then alerts the Avengers and tells them that Venom has possessed him. After a fight with the Avengers, the symbiote is eventually returned to Flash. And there's several of types of Venoms, but this video is only about Spider-Man, Symbiote Spider-Man. We're also going to do other realities. The Earth's 1610 is basically known as the Ultimate Universe, and this is the universe where you see Ultimate Spider-Man, like the 2017 show. In the Ultimate Universe, the symbiote is a biomechanical organism called the suit, and it was developed by Eddie's and Peter's dad. Created by Richard Parker and Eddie Brock. SR, don't know what that means. An attempt to cure cancer. If you played the Ultimate Spider-Man game, not on mobile, like I think it was on console or something, or PC, You all know that. But eventually, it got attached to Peter Parker when he attempted to continue his further experiments. In the game, Peter took it and wanted to try it. So maybe that's what he wanted to do. Experiments. The suit enhanced his strength, speed, and generated black unlimited webbing from its own protoplasmic substance, and even allowed Peter to take a bullet without injury. That is amazing. The suit was removed after Spider-Man lost control of himself after chasming a burglar that he confused for one that killed his Uncle Ben, temporarily turning into Venom and attempting to strangle the burglar to death. Peter gained a bit of control and ran to a downed power line that electrocuted him and vaporized the suit out of him. And then in the game, Eddie got mad and turned into Venom. And then you just fight Venom and whatever. That's a good story. But we still have something to go, so don't leave yet. I'm going to be talking about his abilities in more detail. Alright, so this is the abilities. As you can see here, you see some hole. So that's where his webs come out now. If he was just regular Spider-Man, he would have to press on his web shooters. And webs will come out. But here, he just has to put his fist down, webs will come. He becomes more stronger. He almost called Rhino in the television series. And he becomes more angry, more aggressive later as the more he wears the suit. So first he's fine, like regular Spider-Man, but now then he turned into not so friendly Spider-Man and pure evil. He becomes more faster, agile. So he's pretty fast. And he can even take a hit to the bullet. And he always is wearing the suit as you see him wear normal clothes. Because the suit can mimic his regular clothes. So he doesn't have to keep on changing. Whenever there's trouble, he can just turn into it. There are a lot of advantages wearing the suit. And more. For instance, let's say the symbiote got someone else, like, for instance, another hero, which it has, and then it hit Peter. Well, he would get some of those abilities. Because, for instance, the symbiote can get some of his abilities, like web shooters. Well, like webs, not web shooters. So when Eddie Brock bonded with the symbiote and he became Venom, he gets webbing and more strength. So that's abilities, and I'll see you in a bit. So I hope you guys enjoyed that ability talk. And there are a lot of arts that I can cover. So let's just talk about the Claude version, because why not? The 6161. This happened. After Spider-Man abandoned the symbiote in Spectacular Spider-Man 99, he was given a Claude version handmade by Black Cat. He wore it for a time, but Mary Jane was kidnapped by Venom. He abandoned the version as well as his wife's request. And if you don't know who Peter Parker's wife is, you should read One More Day comic, which I did cover. And you can get that video. I'll put it in the description. But if you just want to know, his wife is Mary Jane. During the latter part of Civil War, after Aunt May had been shot by a sniper as a result of Peter revealing his secret identity. He returned to Claude version for the Back in Black storyline to find Aunt May's shooter. The costume was retired once again after one more day, which we did cover because basically the summary is Peter and Mary J and MJ, they go to the demon Mysticio, and Mysticio offers them a deal. If they give their wedding to him, he will give Aunt May's life back, and he will also give a brainwasher, like, not what I mean. He will erase his identity for people that know it, except for Mary Jane and others, because his identity was public, so everyone knew who Spider-Man was, which is not a good thing. And hey, that's my channel thing right there. Renew your vows. And basically what this renew your vows is that Peter and Mary Jane have a kid known as Annie Mae Parker. And Peter got a fight with Eddie, and the fight ended with Spider-Man lighting a building on fire, which completely falls down on Eddie, killing him and burning the symbiote alive. They fought because the Avengers and X-Men against Regent, who absorbed all their powers and killed most of them. He instead opted to fight Eddie Brock, who had the symbiote in order to protect his family. So Eddie Brock was just trying to protect his family, which is not a bad thing in my opinion. And that's how they wanted to fight. So Peter did not fight Peter did not fight Regent, who had absorbed all their powers. He instead wanted to fight Eddie Brock. Yup. And he died, and the symbiote got burnt alive, which was sad. Oh, and this is the television series, 1994 TV series. Now, first I thought this was 616, but apparently there is no 616 television. So, in the television 1994 TV series, the symbiote is attached to Peter Parker and makes him much more stronger, faster, but more upset. At first, he's happy with the costume, but the more he wears it, he realizes that he's turning more aggressive. As he tries to kill Rhino, he literally spinned him. Threatens J. Jonah Jameson with violence and nearly kills Shocker, which is not your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, as you can see on the thumbnail. He takes the symbiote off in a bell tower and then immediately bonds with Eddie Brock in the cocoon. And they become Venom. It proceeds to hunt Spider-Man until Spider-Man detaches from Brock from the suit using a rocket engine sound. Later, Dormammu, sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, returns the symbiote to Eddie Brock and they bond again. And giving the symbiote to Cletus Cassidy, who becomes Carnage. Cletus Cassidy is the serial killer who's crazy. Trust me, you do not want to have Carnage. In exchange, they both have to help getting Dormammu out of his prison dimension. Later, Eddie goes rogue and rescues a psychologist and encourages Venom to remove the symbiote to be just Eddie for her. He accepts and removes the symbiote, but he's warned that he cannot detach from the symbiote if bonded again, or he'll risk death. Meanwhile, Carnage collects energy for Dormammu in order to power the dimensional machine. And Spider-Man asks for Dormammu in order. And Spider-Man asks help to Brock, who breaks the symbiote prison and becomes Venom once again. But this time allied with Spider-Man. Together they battle Carnage. And it's said Carnage is much more stronger than Venom. He has more abilities. Because as I said, one of Venom's abilities is to replicate powers. Not like entirely replicate, but whoever's like the person bonding with, and if they have powers, that will be replicated. Now, they'll have that. And some people say Carnage is a clone, which is true. Carnage was made technically from Venom. So again, they have the same powers, except Carnage has a bit more, which makes him more powerful. I think that's it, guys, and I hope you like it. See you guys. Bye.